We've got 45 minutes of yin together, and our theme today is around the fourth chakra, so Anahata. So we'll be moving into that space. We'll be opening out into that space. And in our vinyasa class just then, I spent a lot of time cueing and theming around the breath. And in our yin practice, we don't really talk to the breath too much. We just want to maintain this steady rhythmic quality to our breath. But as we move up the chakras, so from these more dense, heavy, like very heavy, solid, and the base chakra, a little bit of fluid, a little bit of yin through the sacral chakra, and then that fiery element around the navel center for our third chakra. But they're all very much about in these lower energy matter and very kind of heavy and all about the ego. But as we start to lift up and transcend, we come more into this kind of spaciousness, this freedom and expansive nature of the heart chakra. So we'll be talking to that as we go through our class today. So let's start. So we're going to just start with a child's pose, wide-legged. And you don't really need any props for this version of child's pose unless you would like a block or something underneath the forehead. I just want you to find some space through the back body, through the tops of the feet, the shins. As always, I'm going to set a timer and we'll work using this grounding energy of the earth. Lots of props, lots of support. It's a very yin kind of element. And so is the heart chakra. It's a yin chakra. So when we talk to breath in our yin practice, maybe it doesn't feel like it relates so well, but when we talk about prana and circulation and prana to the tissues, prana to the cells, and getting that movement in all over the body, we can start to see this correlation between this life force of our heart and our breath, delivering all the nutrients, oxygen, and circulating throughout the entire body. So I just want you to settle in and find the steadiness of your breath. Finding a freedom in your breath. So without force or struggle, without anything dense from those lower centers. This idea of the chest, the heart, the lungs, the rib cage, it invites this idea of expansion and expansiveness, space. As you settle into that rhythm of your breath, I encourage you to look for the point at which the breath turns around at the top and at the bottom of each and every inhale and exhalation. There's a point at which it naturally just turns around and makes its way the other direction. But there is a really subtle point, a pause there, a moment of complete space and stillness. I'd like you to come up onto the fingertips and then walk the hands over to the right side, off the mat, so arms, shoulders, so as far as you can without allowing that left hip to come off the heels. If you need a block under the head or a pillow or bolster, I'm going to take this more into this lateral part of the torso. So still around this thoracic cavity. So the rib cage. Remembering that the thoracic cavity is three-dimensional. We often just think of it from a front-on anterior angle. But it holds this space, front, back, side to side, up and down. A reminder of our yin practice is we're not using the practice to create anything in particular. We're using it to restore balance. Come back to harmony, come back into a cycle and a rhythm of more kind of flow. Just take another couple cycles of breath here. Sometimes in our yin practice, we don't want to think about it as pranayama, but you could think of it as a rhythm. Like the breath is constant. So a few more beats. When you're ready, start to come back onto the other side. So arms walk to the left, right off the edge of the mat. And start to drop that right hip down, right shoulder to the earth. So you want to meet that resistance. You want to meet any tension you're carrying and make that commitment to just stay and let the practice do its work. So that means staying, being discerning, and coming at your physical body with a sense of curiosity. More often than not, we have that kind of yang attitude to our body of like, if I just push a little harder, I'll get there quicker. So it's more of an acceptance, that yin element of acceptance and surrender. A few more breaths here. All right, then coming back through center, we're going to set up for Sphinx pose. So my personal preference is to have a bolster underneath the belly here, just for a little bit of support and just to create that nice sort of cushion underneath the front of the chest and allow the rib cage to kind of pull up and forward. And the forearms are resting nice and comfortable on the earth. And I don't really mind with the neck. You could look down and give a little bit of space and take a little pressure off there. Or if you feel like bringing the eye gaze up, again, with the lower extremities, the feet could be a little wider, or they could be drawn together. Legs could be drawn together as well. But get nice and stable through from the pubic bone all the way through the base of the legs. And you should be feeling that gentle lumbar curve. And then this upward lift of the chest. So the meaning of the word Anahata is translated as unstruck or unhurt or unbeaten. When I think of that, it kind of implies this idea of having this kind of courage and fire from that third chakra, from all the work you've done on the lower, and that we can come into our heart space without that fear of getting hurt, of being open, having the courage to be open. It's expansive in nature. It's also quite fitting that today is the final day of autumn. And autumn being represented in the element of air. There's a letting go, a surrender, as we reach the end of a cycle. Just another minute here. As you come into this final minute in the pose, I want you to just place your attention on the rhythm of your breath. So not so much pranayama. Remember, the breath is continuous, it's automatic. The nature of the two cavities is shape-changing, constant. Reminder of all the connective tissue that connects through these two cavities together. Just another 30 seconds here. Laying down onto your belly, make a pillow with your hands, rest the forehead onto your hands. We're going to stay on our bellies for the moment. So from here, we're going to take a chest opener. So you can come back into Sphinx pose if you want to watch Simon for a setup. But we're going to move into the right side. So the right arm's going to come out to the side from your belly. And you want to just take a look at that right arm. It needs to be up on a little bit of an angle. Okay, you could cactus the arm as well, if you can see in the screen, which I'm doing. So a little bit up, and then roll onto the right hip. can make a kickstand with that left hand and a kickstand with the left foot behind you. Then I like to hold on to a bolster or a pillow or a block with my thighs. I encourage you just to take these first 30 seconds to find a little bit of micro movement so that you can get that sweet spot right on that connection where the pec muscles attach from the chest onto the appendicular skeleton, so onto the humerus. If you need space for your neck, a blanket can feel nice just to create a little bit of a lift. Get really cozy. So we're going to hold this for about 4 minutes. What's interesting about this chakra, so the heart chakra, is its sense that it relates to is touch. It was really interesting to me to read that this morning when we're in this kind of situation at the moment where we're not allowed to touch each other, not allowed to hug, keep our distance. I encourage you to find a little bit more space from the heart, from the tissues, running that direction all the way up through the inside of the arms. So as we move through the chakras, you start to look at the qualities of them. So earth being unmoving and rigid and fixed. Like we know that. And even water, like when it sits in a bowl, it sits at the bottom of the bowl. And fire moves upward. It's got a certain direction and energy about it. But then air disperses. Like if you light incense in a room, it permeates the entire room eventually. It kind of transcends. It transcends that idea of that fixed form. Just under a minute here. Just a few more breaths. So making your way back onto your belly and just pause how you like. Maybe hands can create a pillow. remembering that upon release of the posture, of the tissues, that's when the work begins. When you're ready, you can make your way onto the left side. Always use that first 30 seconds or so to set yourself up. Make the minor adjustments you need. The point at which the heart chakra is, like it's the center point of the chakra system. And it's literally this kind of interface between the physical and then the mental. There's two worlds. And the breath is the key. Like we know that the mind has the ability to control the breath. Often in an unhelpful way. Sometimes not. But then the breath also has the ability to control the mind. Invitation to just feel that pulsation of energy, of prana in the cells. It's not just that the heart and the lungs are producing this kind of constant pumping action, but the blood, the whole circulatory system feeding that constant cycle, the rhythm and pattern in any organism. Just under a minute here. Slowly making your way back onto your belly. From here, we're going to make our way onto our back. So you're welcome to turn around if that serves, or just roll straight over. But have your block or something nice and firm, because we're going to take kind of a reclined bridge sort of variation. So just lay down for a moment in Shavasana. Just adjust yourself on the mat as you need. And then bend the knees, pick up the hips like you're coming into bridge. And I want you to place your block or your firm bolster underneath your sacrum. So on the lowest height, okay? And you can adjust it as we go. And then lengthen the legs to the front of the mat or the back of the mat. And just find this space across the front, the hips, the pelvis. Now, depending on how you're feeling here, you could just bring the palms open, or you could reach the arms overhead, maybe even clasp elbows. From here, start to feel the base of the spine. There's a heaviness there as the sacrum, the coccyx weights down into the block, into the earth. With the hips open and the chest open, the lumbar spine nice and curved. There's space for the chest and the rib cage to breathe fully. Just observe the subtle movements of the belly as the breath ebbs and flows. Constant. Unstruck, unhurt. Anahata, representing a sensation of love. It's really about starting to understand the nature of cycles, like noticing the cycles in everything. Macro, micro, everywhere you look, you can't escape that perfection of change and cycles. Constantly coming out of balance and back into balance. This pattern and rhythm and movement. From here, I want you to bring the right knee in towards your chest. So keep the hips on the block. Just give the right knee a squeeze. You can keep the left leg long on the mat if that feels comfortable. If the heel's lifting off the mat, just bend the knee and place the sole of the foot to the earth. Now you're going to hold this for about a minute. So I encourage you to soften into this posture. You can even bring the opposite hand onto the left hip flexor psoas muscle. As you coax that back down and using the right knee towards your chest just to create a little bit of fire and movement into the digestive area. Again, that cycle we see of air moving downwards, like stoking that fire. Feeling that energy start to lift. And before you can release that right knee down, and then left knee in towards your chest. Adjust as you need, just for a minute. Remember, we're never completely in balance. We're always balancing. So notice if you feel unbalanced on this side, if something doesn't feel the same, feels different. Takes a very wise person to understand and appreciate the perfection of cycles in life, in everything living. Beautiful. From here, you can bring both knees in towards your chest. Keep the block there, and depending on how this feels for you, I like to kind of massage the base of the lumbar spine up against the block. And then from here, you're just going to bring the legs up towards the roof, the sky, and find a gentle inversion. If you feel like it, you could always come up against a wall, but the block or the bolster should do fine. Find nice and supported here. As we find the inversion, start to allow the fluids to drain from the tips of your toes, and through the feet, and the legs, all the way through down in towards the base of your spine and towards the heart space. Encouraging that flow of fluids back towards the heart, apana. I read a quote this morning. It said that love is the natural relationship between healthy living things. We need only to believe that it is around us at all times and in all things in order to find it within ourselves. So love is consciousness, it's creation. Slowly bringing the feet down, you can lift up, remove the block or props from underneath. Just pause for a moment in Shavasana. Actually, no, sorry, bend your knees, bring your feet to the outside edge of your mat. That's it, and then knock the knees in towards each other. I'm going to finish with a twist here. So very gentle windscreen wiper of the knees forward and back, or left and right, I should say, a couple of times, keeping that containment of the pelvis. You don't want any excessive movement around the sacrum. And then the next time the knees drop over to the right, or the left, I don't really mind. Place that foot on top of the knee. So if you're going to the left ankle onto the right knee. Now choose what you want to do with the arms here. If you bring the arms overhead, you can make a pillow underneath your head, cradle your head, or clasped hands. Feel the ebb and flow of the breath into the abdominal cavity and the tissues around the top of that right hip. That's if your knees are over towards the left. Always shape changing the cells, the tissues. Making your way back through center and on to the other side. Just one more minute here. got 5 minutes till the end of class, so choose what you would like to do. So either a reclined butterfly or shavasana, maybe the bolster underneath the backs of your legs. Take this time to cover yourself with a blanket, jumpers on, take what you need, socks. And settle in for your final rest. Settle into that deeper intelligence. Away from form, fixed form, to that all-pervading knowledge and infinite wisdom. Some people call it love, consciousness. The transcendence of the I, you, me, I. Rising spirit. Let your next breath be deeper than the one before it. You're more than welcome to stay where you are if you need more time. Otherwise, just find some movement to reawaken, just limb by limb. No sudden movements, just nice and slow, Steady. Just use the next few breaths to make your way to a comfortable seat. No rush. You arrive there, bring the hands to heart center. And just bow your head and acknowledge your practice. And just acknowledge the rhythm and pattern and cycles within everything. Take a full breath in. A long breath out. Salute your practice and each other with the Hindi word Namaste. Thank you, yogis. Thank you.